Hey friends, welcome to our recap of CC's Cycle 1, Week 8. For timeline, we got right into it. We went with all of the hand motions that are available on CC Connected, and we played our bomb game, which is when I mark one of our cards and then pick different kids to try to guess which card the little mark is on. So we all read it through one time with the hand motions, and then afterwards they picked one card. That one was removed, and then we sang it again, and then someone else picked a different card, and we did that until someone found the bomb. For math, we said our multiplication facts for the number 14, and we just did it all together as a class the first time, and then after that we went through and just in order each child that would point to them and they would say 14 times 1 is this and 14 times 2 is that, and we just went around the room until we said it several times. For history, we did the song that's available on CC Connected, Tell Me About the Age of Imperialism, but on my board I had omitted certain words and instead put little icons or underlines and just had them listen through to the song and follow along, and then I had them listen to that twice, and then I would stop it and ask different children to fill in the blanks, and then we listened to it another 2 times and had them fill in the rest of the blanks, and then we sang it through another 2 times all together with everything filled in. For Latin, it was the third declension noun endings, just like last week. So we did the song and we did it a few times, doing silly things while we sang it. So I have several cards that have silly actions on it. One of them was like do it while doing jumping jacks. Another one was do it while patting your head. And so they seem to enjoy that. For English, we had the prepositions that start with O, most of them. So I brought in a little blow up tube that was an O so they could try to remember that. And we all said it together one time. And then I put the little O in the center of the room and took turns giving each of the kids 3 hacky sacks, to try to toss them into the O as each child said the list of O words. And so each child did it one time. So we did it 7 times. For geography, we did the Indus River Valley. I asked them if they remembered that from previous weeks, and they said they did. They remember that Indus River Valley civilization from our timeline. I told them Indus sounds like what? And they said India. So I said, excellent, look in your map and find modern day India. So they went there, and then we just went along. I said, look at the very north. When you see all the little triangles, those are lots of mountains, and that's a mountain range called the Himalayas. The Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal. And Bengal, I asked them if they ever heard of a Bengal tiger, and they said yes. And I said, well, those come from India, so maybe you'll remember Bay of Bengal because that's where Bengal tigers come from. And the Great Indian Desert, I kind of made a joke and said, it would be great if there was a Great Indian dessert. I wonder what that would taste like. And one of the kids said, maybe it would be spicy. And so we laughed about that. And so hopefully they'll remember it, the Great Indian Desert as the Great Indian dessert. And then that last one was the Ganges River. And I pointed out that it starts in the Himalayas and goes down all the way out to the Sea of Bengal. For science, we came up with hand motions for what are some types of seed plants. So some types of seed plants are monocot, so a number 1, dicot, a number 2, and conifer. And I pointed out how mono is Greek for 1 and di is Greek for 2. And coni is Greek for cone or cone bearing in Latin. So for conifer, we pretended to hold ice creams and lick them. So that's a fun way to try to remember that. We also talked about how monocots, a good example of that would be like corn, a corn kernel. When you open it, it's just like the one thing. And then a dicot, I asked them if they remembered a experiment from previous weeks where we dissected a bean, and when they opened it, they observed that there were 2 halves to it. So that's why it's called a dicot, because there's 2 halves. So just also talked about how monocots, a good example of that would be like corn, a corn kernel. For fine arts, we talked about dynamics and how important that is to make music interesting. We said that the PP stands for pianissimo, and it is squeaky, like a squeaky mouse, very soft. And then there's piano, mezzo forte. The mezzo means medium, forte, and then fortissimo was loud like a lion. For fine arts, so we sang through the song a few times, doing the different dynamics. We sang it through with a crescendo and then a decrescendo, and then we practiced playing our tin whistles, and they did a great job. They're really getting it. For science, we went outside and we had our nature walk where we attended to nature and plants. We talked about the importance of watching out for hazards like poison ivy and what that looks like. they brought samples back in to keep in their nature journals. For review game, we played the Zap game, which they really enjoyed. It's where you have a big board with 24 envelopes, and each envelope has 4 to 5 cards inside with different little silly things that the kids can do for points. And something like twirl like a ballerina, or tell me your favorite storybook, or army crawl down the hall. But then some of the cards are Zap cards, so they could zap, like Zap, you lose 10 points, or Zap, half your points go to the other team, or Zap, switch the scores. So we were divided into 2 teams, and the kids really seemed to enjoy that because aside from getting to review all of the memory work, which they did great at, they also got to do silly things in front of their friends to get the points. But then also there was that element of just luck, or we called it probability, of in the end who's going to win. Nobody knows, because the Zap game could turn the tide at the last second. So it was a lot of fun. The kids really enjoyed it. And that's about it. I hope to see you guys next week.